Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar on using Minecraft in the classroom. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you may be in the world. My name is Graham. I'm the Partnership Manager here at the Educational App Store, and it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Daniel O'Sullivan, who is the Education Specialist and CEO at Code Kingdoms. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for giving up your time and taking part today. Basically, we're going to run this webinar. It's going to provide you with practical advice from Daniel on how to use Minecraft in the classroom. To give a bit of background, although Daniel will be able to do this a bit better than I can, Code Kingdoms work in collaboration with teachers to teach computing to children, and particularly by linking coding and the hugely popular game Minecraft to the national curriculum. So Daniel, without further ado, I wondered if you could just give us a little bit of background about yourself personally, including your kind of background in the education field.
Okay, yeah, so hello everyone, my name is Daniel O'Sullivan. So I started out life as a secondary school science teacher. So I taught in schools in around Derby and London in the very early part of my career, and then took a sidestep out of the classroom into the ed tech sphere with the view to thinking that will make me a better teacher when I eventually end up back in the classroom. So I've spent the last 4 years working for private ed tech startups, and throughout those 4 years it's remained working with very strong bonds to teachers and schools. And then the final 2 years of this, I've been working with Code Kingdoms, and as Graham's just said, we have a platform that allows kids to code, but not only allows them to code, it allows them to code things that they want to code and find fun.
Fantastic. It's a really excellent platform which you've created at Code Kingdoms. Do you want to just give maybe a bit more further background about that for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So our whole messaging, our whole ethos is about making learning to code fun, making it creative, and also making sure that it is a meaningful learning experience. It's not just dressed up as potentially learning, it is actually authentic learning for the kids that we work with. So as I said, we take things that kids and students love and allow them to code it as best we can on our platform. So there's a big emphasis on us giving them the tools to create what they want to create in those environments, and Minecraft is a great example of why that is a possibility. And the thing that underpins this, our sort of unique bit of technology, if you like, is the code editor we've built. So I said we work very closely with schools and have done for the entire life of Code Kingdoms, and we built our code editor with my teaching background, but also working with over 75,000 teachers and students, some of them online, but several thousand of them in person in schools in and around London and the southeast. And the reason our code editor is so popular, the reason it works so well as a learning tool, is that it was designed with kids at heart, with young learners at heart. So it doesn't baby them, but it also means that we have an editor that is suitable for their needs. So you'll see in a demo later on in this session that we have a drag and drop environment. If you're familiar with things like Blockly and Scratch, it's a little bit similar to that, in that you're using chunks of code and you don't have to worry about the syntax that's within them. But then there's also a unique piece of technology we have that transitions from drag and drop into typed code in one environment. So it's not just saying, right, you've reached the ceiling of chunks drag and drop coding, you need to go into something else. It transitions them into typing code in the same familiar environment.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's the basis of our editor and how we came to be working with the many schools, teachers and students that we are.
That's amazing, and to be working with 75,000 teachers and students from the kind of beginning. I think I read on your website, kind of designed by kids for big kids, which I think is it sounds like a perfect way of putting it as well. We're talking here about coding. You and I have spoken previously about it as well. Why do you think it is an important skill for children to learn?
I think the principal thing behind this answer is it's fun and creative, and I think whatever interest kids have, they do like to be having fun in their learning, and I think everyone likes to explore a bit of creativity. So that's the overarching thing about for a kid's motivation. But it goes to more than that. Obviously, computing is now explicit on the national curriculum. But again, it goes deeper than that for me and for the team that we have building Code Kingdoms. So the thing that a lot of people outside of education say when in discussion around this is you're just going to create a generation of software developers, and I think that kind of misses the point in that we teach all kids maths, but they don't all become mathematicians. We haven't got a homogeneous workforce of when they graduate from school and go into the workplace. We have a society now that is increasingly reliant on technology, and children should know how that works. And if you're building that foundation in school, then that is a great starting point. And one other thing I wanted to touch on is this sense that this generation of kids that are in school are what we call digital natives, and I find it such a myth. It makes too many presumptions about what kids know inherently. I think there's many stories about how toddlers have picked up iPads and managed to navigate their way through it, and somehow they are digital natives as a result. And I think it overlooks the fact that actually we've got to teach them how to use this technology, how to create their own, rather than just digesting whatever the people behind these tablets like Apple and Samsung are creating. I mean, they must invest millions and billions of dollars in creating very intuitive UI to the point where a toddler can use it. But calling them digital natives doesn't actually allow them to go and have the tools they need to create their own technological imprint, if you like. And the analogy across that I heard used at a recent conference was it's like teaching them to read but not to write. So we're teaching them how to use Excel, teaching them how to use Word that other people have created in the same way we could teach them to read a book. But then we're actually missing the writing part. We're not actually showing them this is how you write code, this is how you create your own technology, which we give them the skills in literacy to go and write their own stories, essays, books. And I think that comes back to the point that we're overlooking the importance of actually being able to create both in a fun and a creative sense, but also in a sense of being able to function in an increasingly digital world.
I think that's a great point, and it is a common myth, like you say, that because a child can use an iPad, for example, and flick between apps and use apps quite effectively, it doesn't mean that they can use them. And what I want to maybe ask on the back of that is, you talked about kind of non-educationalists thinking that. Do you often see similar kind of beliefs within the teachers? Do a lot of teachers you speak to also say, do you know what, the pupils are actually fantastic and maybe don't even need as much help as they actually do?
Not so much as a rejection like that. We do see some teachers that are, well, to be honest, a lot of the teachers we engage with that come to us are adopting the computing curriculum. They want to do some really creative stuff, but there are some other teachers that are maybe a bit more hesitant. And I think the thing from our point of view is, yes, the generation of teachers that we have now didn't grow up around a lot of this technology that is in use today, but inevitably, because the kids that have grown up around it are going to be more in tune with it, they can almost focus on their professional skills around teaching and let the kids become the experts. So they don't necessarily know everything about programming and coding from the beginning, but given their track record with technology, they're likely to pick it up quite quickly, a lot of them. And therefore they can almost defer being the expert in the room. And I think that's a great tool for learning as well, where students can become the expert and help with peer-to-peer teaching as well. So yeah, I think that it's mixed bag still. We're still only 18 months on, nearly 2 years from the computing curriculum becoming mandatory, but I think it's moving in the right direction, certainly, and I think the vast majority of attitudes in the education and teaching worlds are that this is a good thing, how can we embrace it?
Mm-hmm. And that just really does give young people the opportunity to become digital leaders within schools, within classrooms, which is such an exciting thing, and maybe something that hasn't really been achieved before. So I think that's a fantastic aspect that coding can bring. And so Minecraft is obviously kind of what Code Kingdoms is focused on. Why is Minecraft a useful tool for teachers to actually teach coding? What benefits does it offer?
I guess the first one is it's because it is so popular, it's a great tool for engagement. There's a vast number of kids out there that already like it, and if you present it as a learning tool as well, then you have got them engaged right from the word go in some sense. Obviously you have to sustain that and make it something they want to continue engaging with through their learning, but that is a significant barrier that overcomes with some other more isolated pieces of software that you could learn to code with. The second part that's inherent to Minecraft is its creative freedom. It is essentially a sandbox world where you can go and do whatever you like, and I think that is part of its appeal, both in a gameplay sense, but also as a learning tool. You're not limited by what it could go and do, and I've seen a wide variety of ambitious projects across a number of national curriculum subjects that have been taught using Minecraft. So yeah, that open-ended sandbox environment is a big win for allowing kids to actually go and achieve in an open-ended sense. And then the other thing I think it has as an appeal both for kids and for teachers is that it is, by virtue of it being a game that is so popular, it has real-world application, which makes it meaningful. So even if you're not a big Minecraft fan as a teacher or a student, I think you can see that coding a game that exists and has sold many millions of copies and has been built by professional developers is a real-world application of something. It's not an artificial environment, and that fact that you're not in that artificial environment doesn't prevent it from having that resonating effect, whether they're Minecraft fans or non-Minecraft fans.
Yeah, excellent. And so yeah, I think it is that kind of level of engagement, straight off the bat, and like you say, because it becomes meaningful for them, which means they do continue to engage. So I think that's a really exciting part of what Minecraft can offer. Now, let's focus a little bit more on Code Kingdoms. How does Code Kingdoms kind of interact with this? What does Code Kingdoms offer to teachers?
So we've obviously taken Minecraft and we've made it accessible for a beginner coder, and also now recently made it accessible for teachers as well with the addition of our teacher tools. So what I'm actually going to do is give a tour of our code editor, just to sort of give something to hang on what I'm actually saying. So if you bear with me a second, I will just load our code editor up.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
So hopefully, well, Graham, you can confirm you can see my screen okay with the editor, can you?
Yes, that's working perfectly.
Okay, great. So this is the technology that we built, and I'm going to walk you through it just to show you exactly what that entails. So I've got a project here that I created in preparation for this, and these different files here are files of Java files, sorry, that you can open up and add code to. So we've got the player file, which is everything to do with the Minecraft player. You've got a game file, which is obviously everything to do with the game, and then a faction file if you wanted to create teams as well. And you can add a whole load more of those files in. So there's the possibility to add in, if you're familiar with Minecraft, whole loads of mobs like creepers and various ender dragons, all these sorts of things that can be added in. But the basic tour, which I described briefly in the intro, is this beginner drag and drop environment. So on the left hand side we've got these chunks of code that can be used, and then on the right hand side in black we've got the coding window where we can add some code to our project. And as I say, it is these are Java files, so this is syntactically correct Java that we've got in this window. It just happens to be locked up in some graphically rich drag and drop chunks. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works, and I'm going to create a little mod, if you like, which will show you quite how quickly and easily we can create a coding project in Minecraft. So what I've done just there is add a new method, which is onMove, and that method runs every time the player in Minecraft moves. So we can cause something to happen every time the player in Minecraft takes a step. And the reason I called it Armageddon, as you may have spotted, is because we're going to throw some projectiles around every time we move. So we've got this chunk of code here that says throw projectile, and we have to enter a projectile in here, and we can choose an arrow. So we've got, with a simple 2 lines of code there, we've got a mod that means that every time the player moves, they're going to fire an arrow out of their chest, and I'll show you that in action in a moment. But so this is syntactically correct Java that we've got inside these chunks, and I did mention the slider that transitions from drag and drop to text-based or typed coding, which is at the bottom here. If I go through the 4 phases, you'll gradually see that the graphics are stripped back, and then we eventually end up with just pure typed code. And to prove, I can put absolutely anything in here that is incorrect as I like, and it will flag it. But our focus is on not only getting that introduction and allowing the absolute beginners to access code, but also then just saying, right, well, there isn't a ceiling once you've mastered drag and drop. We're actually going to introduce you to text-based code, and we really do encourage beginners to move to this environment and use the support of this transitional slider to get to text-based code. So I could go and change this, and now I want to say I want to throw an egg every time the player moves. And as you saw from when I made a mistake, it does actually flag it up. So there is that as a learning tool that helps them debug what they're trying to do if they make mistakes, so that they don't just down tool straight away. But if they do want to go back, they can go back and forth between the 2 environments and not lose that support. So yeah, we've got a very simple mod there that I've shown you. So this is all locked up in our code editor. Some of the other things that come as part of a school package, but also applicable to a home user as well. You get our online video courses. So we've created these video courses to be fun, obviously, but also meaningful projects. So some of these are a bit longer than that minute mod that I've just shown you. They are done over several hours, but at the end of it, they get a Minecraft game that they can play. They can invite their friends to play, and they've actually learned a significant amount of coding within it as well. So in the design process here, we will have me as the education specialist working with a game designer, and we will devise a fun game at the same time as devising what we're actually going to learn. So the headlines of this project, Spartan School, you get an introduction to variables. You also understand more about data operators, and then finish off in the 3rd segment with about conditionals, introduction to loops, and some booleans as well. So that learning design takes place at the same point as the game design with these courses, and we've got around about 40 hours worth of content in there at the moment across a number of projects, and that is a opportunity for teachers. It means they can take what we've done and use it as they see fit, but also the versatility of the editor means that you can create your own projects as well. So if you don't like what we've done, you don't think it's applicable to the bit that you need to teach or want to engage your students with, then it means you can go off on your own tangent and create what you want in the editor. So we've got the resources, we've got the video resources, we've got the editor. The other part that is a significant sell for both home users and teachers is that it's a pretty simple setup. So we're browser based, there's nothing to install from our point of view. You would have to install a copy of Minecraft, but unfortunately we can't control that. But all of the CodeKingdom's element to what would need to be done is contained within the browser. You'll see a support button in the bottom right hand corner, so that's manned by our team of developers and obviously educators as well. So we are on hand to be able to help all our users, whether it be with an idea for a lesson, or there's a bug found, anything like that, that is available 24/7. The whole setup point, which I will show you as I demo this in Minecraft, is that we've actually taken away a lot of the setup process as well. So it is easy to set up from a point of view of just going into the browser and accessing it, but because of the way we've done it, it means that your server is, Minecraft server is set up and running, and you're not spending sometimes a whole day to do that. If anyone's used Eclipse, they will sometimes find that Eclipse can be tricky to deal with, and it puts kids off quite early on. So we've removed that that hurdle. And then the final thing we give is our teacher dashboard tool. Our teacher dashboard tool is purely designed to make the administration of student counts easy, so getting them signed up easy, resetting passwords when they inevitably forget them, just to make life a bit more easy for the teacher. So I'm going to show you how this works in Minecraft. So I'm going to try and snap this to two halves of my screen, just to see if we can get it loading up. So on the left hand side I've got the code written that I just showed you. So on move it's going to fire an arrow. Now the way to actually get it into Minecraft in real time is to use the run button in this bottom right hand corner. Now when I click run, you should see, hopefully if it's big enough, some text in the Minecraft screen that says the mod has been updated. So if I click run, you can see down in the bottom here, it's been updated. And now every time I move, you can see there are eggs flying out of me, which eventually hatch into chickens. And you can imagine how much fun kids would have with this, particularly if there's more than one of them playing. They can run around firing eggs around and limitless chickens. But that's the framework with which we've developed this idea. But other emphasis is very much on saying, well, go and do more with it. What else can you do with it? And the creative element that kids will bring to you in with their Minecraft knowledge is say, right, well, now I want to be able to fly. And inevitably, that is flying around, throwing eggs is going to be great fun. So we're going to add this as a new method that says when anyone joins the server, they're allowed to fly. So let's say set allow, in capitals, we go allow flight. Let's go a minute. Get rid of that. So okay, set allow flight. We've got our chunk here, and right away you can say that's now true. So when anyone joins the server, if I run and update that, we will now be able to fly when I disconnect from the server and join again. So just very quickly do that. And there is this emphasis on saying, right, we've given you the big starting point here, what can you actually do? And you can see now that I'm actually up in the air flying around the world and firing eggs everywhere. And if you get 3 or 4 having an aerial battle of eggs, or indeed arrows if they want to be a bit more aggressive, if you like. So I'll very quickly show that as well. So we could have that updated, and now I'm firing arrows, which is a bit harder to see, which is why I led with eggs, but they can have an aerial battle with arrows. So yeah, that is our offering, if you like. It's the editor, it's the resources, it's the ease of setup, it's the support, and it's also the teacher dashboard tools that make a teacher's life easy. And on top of that, I say it's been designed with the progression pathways at the heart of it. So we have our learning blueprint, which all this is based upon. And we have 3 strands of our learning blueprint, which is effectively our curriculum. And the 3 strands of that are the general computing skills, so these will be the learning outcomes you recognize from the progression pathways, the computational thinking components, and then the language-specific stuff, which in the Minecraft case is the Java. So every time they do an activity like I've just shown you, you get automatically assessed outcomes that can either be emailed to you or to your student that say, we've worked on this today, we've hit these outcomes, and it makes assessment a bit more easy as well. So that's a very, very quick whistle-stop tour of what we have available. As I showed you on the courses page, there's a lot that you can work through, and many, many hours worth of projects that are much deeper and much more meaty than the minute mods that I've just shown you.
That was absolutely fantastic. I'm a bit in awe of that. I think it's an absolutely wonderful tool. One of the questions that came to my mind as you were speaking, you've mentioned a couple of times about not setting limits on learning. How important is that, and how much has that formed the building of your platform in terms of not setting limits on the children's learning?
It was absolutely crucial, to be honest. particularly with something like programming. I mean, it's applicable to every subject that every student should be able to go and achieve their full potential. But I think with programming, because you can just go so far with it and learn so much either individually or in tandem with your classroom experience. If you have an open-ended environment and then you can say, I created this and this is the code that I use to do it, A, it's more satisfying, B, they can, the progress they can make either against standards or for personal endeavor, personal satisfaction is infinitely better. And I think there's a lot of tools out there that try to keep things on rails, try to keep things contained, and that's not what programming is about. It's not what programming is about in the real world. It's about experimenting. It's about breaking things. It's about trying to make things in a better way. And I think we should make that a crucial part of the learning experience right from the beginning.
Couldn't agree more. And one last part that I just wanted to pick up with you is that we had a lot of teachers register from this from all around the world, and I'm sure a lot of those teachers are listening in today. So, but we've spoken a lot about obviously the UK and the use of Minecraft in the UK curriculum. So probably worth just mentioning about your kind of worldwide reach. You know, that Code Kingdoms does cater for, I think you mentioned about 60 or 70 countries around the world. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've had, we were primarily focused in the UK at the moment, but that doesn't mean what we do is not available to everyone around the world. And it is, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's around 60 or 70 countries that different parts of our platform have been used in. So that is, we knew that this could and wanted this to be a global thing. We are resident of the UK and that was an obvious starting point, but the learning blueprint which I've spoken about, yes, it is taken from a UK national curriculum, but the application of that is that it's good computing skills for any beginners or any young learners to learn. So it's not a case of saying, oh, I'm in a country hundreds or thousands of miles away, I can't therefore use it. We've designed it in a way that means all the benefits that would apply to the UK will apply elsewhere, because it's just good, solid learning progression in computing. And we also have another part of our platform which has given us a lot of interest, gained us a lot of interest, around the world, which is the BBC Microbit. So we created a code editor for that project as well. And I say that I think it's 60, 70 countries and it's over a million kids and their teachers now. So we started at 75,000 in the test phase and we're well over 1 million now.
It's unbelievable, and unfortunately we're kind of just running out a little bit out of time, but perhaps in the future we can even have a chat about the BBC Microbit, which is just going to, like you say, it's already getting very large, but it's just going to continue to get even bigger. So perhaps in the future it might be worth us having a bit of a chat about BBC Microbit.
Yeah, absolutely. I say there's been a lot. I was at the BET show, which is an educational technology show in London in January, and there was equal interest from countries outside the UK as there was from teachers inside the UK. So I expect that's going to go around the world at some point as well.
Amazing. I couldn't agree more. And so we're just kind of, as I say, we are just reaching the end now. So where can any of our listeners today go if they're looking for a little bit more information about the Code Kingdoms platform?
So our general website is codekingdoms.com. The bit that's applicable more specifically to teachers, educators, would be codekingdoms.com/educators, and it tells you a little bit more about how our program specifically works in classrooms, in after-school clubs like code clubs as well. So that's a good place to start, or people can email me, which I think will make my email available somewhere.
Yes, I can certainly send that round to both the listeners and to anyone who unfortunately was unable to attend but was interested to find out a little bit more. Fantastic. Daniel, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your expertise and your platform. I think it was thoroughly enjoyable. I think we all, and all the listeners would have got a heck of a lot out of it. So I'd just like to say a very big thank you for doing that for us today.
Well, thank you very much for having us as well. It was a pleasure to be involved.
Excellent, fantastic. So thank you very much to everyone else who has taken time out of their day to listen in. I hope you did get a lot out of it. I'm sure you did. And I hope you can join us next time where we'll bring in you the next in our webinar series. So it's goodbye from Daniel and goodbye from myself. So goodbye for now.
Goodbye.